June 10, 2019. Booked, played out, and now we're going to talk about it. As you can see, we're joined by Daddy Anger today, and that's because Anger, in recent videos, has been taking a nosedive off the side of the cliff, so to speak. And that's due to WWE's lack of logic, lack of common sense, and lack of really everything over the last several years, really. He's been keeping it bottled inside. He's been infuriated for so long that in recent videos, he's had enough and he's been taking nosedives. So Daddy Anger has had to show up and basically oversee today's video, oversee today's production. I apologize in advance. Clearly, he's not the nicest or happiest son of a bitch. So I apologize for any facial expressions or mannerisms he might be showing you guys through the camera today. I apologize for anything he might say in today's video. He's a cool dude once you get to know him, though. He does know a lot about his pro wrestling, and maybe in today's video he'll speak a word or two about last night's product, right? No. Nobody wants a piece, Anger. They're just saying, maybe you could say a few words about the show last night. Don't give him too much attitude. Alright. He's pissed off. He's not going to say anything right now, but maybe a little bit later through this video, he'll open up a little bit, man. I can't promise it's going to be anything nice, but that's Daddy Anger. He'll be joining us, man. And again, hopefully he'll have something to say later on. I want to start from the top of the show, guys, in all seriousness. Seth Rollins started this program off, middle of the ring, cutting a promo, when Baron Corbin comes to the top of the ramp. So off the gate, your 3 hours of entertainment, supposedly, that you're supposed to be giving us is starting off. You're getting us excited. You're getting us captivated right from the beginning with Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins. A rematch from Super Showdown. A storyline in a feud that we didn't care about before Super Showdown. A match we didn't care about at Super Showdown. And now for the next couple of weeks, we have to continue this stupid feud just to get to a rematch between the two that we didn't care about in the first place. I hope you guys kept track with all of that. That's your big captivating first angle on Monday Night Raw. Corbin announces that at Stomping Grounds there will be that aforementioned rematch with Rollins, and this time he squirmed his way to get a special guest referee of his choosing. Must be nice to have that kind of fucking power. I would like to know who the fuck he talked to. Oh, maybe it was fucking Fit Finlay, who's got no real power in WWE, but he's the one who put Becky Lynch in the Royal Rumble. That made a lot of fucking sense. Sami Zayn comes down at that point, or at least to the top of the ramp, to kind of defend Baron Corbin, because Seth Rollins was throwing some verbal jabs at Corbin, so out of nowhere, Zayn comes to defend Corbin. And Seth Rollins then throws some verbal jabs at Sami Zayn, so then Kevin Owens comes out to defend Sami Zayn and Baron Corbin. And Seth Rollins basically just says, fine, Owens, you wanna... And by the way, Owens is the wild card, right? This wild card, there is no fucking brand split anymore. They're barely even announcing the wild card. So you know right there, the brand split is absolutely dead at this point. And it's almost like Vince didn't want to admit his fault or mistake, so they're just kind of blurring it and blending it in kind of nonchalantly as the weeks go on. Mind-boggling to me. Even Owens got on the mic and said, yeah, I'm here for the wild card, whatever that is. He doesn't even understand this. Vince's own superstars don't have a clue what is going on. Anyway, Rollins is just like, you want to open your mouth? You're here. Let's have a match tonight in the main event. And I'm like, okay, could be a good wrestling match. We've seen them before so many times, so we know they can put on a good wrestling match, but maybe do it right now. Maybe do it at the end of the first hour or the start of the second hour. Maybe in the middle of Raw. Why do I need to see this insignificant match in the main event of Raw? Like, what's it leading to? He just in that moment aligned himself with Corbin, so there's no interest factor there. So why are we seeing Owens and Rollins in the main event for no reason other than Owens just came out to defend Sami Zayn? And that is what's supposed to captivate us over the next 3 hours to get to the main event for a Rollins versus Owens match? I've already seen Rollins and Owens so many times. So many tag team matches, so many six-man tags. I've seen them fight for the Intercontinental title. I've seen them fight in the Open Challenge for the title. I've seen them fight for the Universal Championship. I've seen them so many times. And for no reason, I have to wait 3 hours to watch them in my main event? Come on. Sorry, bud. I'm just saying. I know. It's legit. That's how we're all feeling. It's absolute bullshit when you try to captivate, and that's what I say. They're not even trying to captivate us at this point. When you put that bullshit at the top of the program, and you tell us that at the end of the program, it's just going to be the same bullshit, Owens and Rollins, that's supposed to suffice for 3 hours of keeping me, keeping you, keeping all of us tuned in for 3 fucking hours. That's their big storyline. A Baron Corbin Rollins match at Stomping Grounds, and now Owens has defended Corbin, so now Rollins has to get his hands on Owens. Unfreaking real, man. So that's what happened too, man. That's what happened. And throughout the night, Sami Zayn, like, kind of forced his way to Shane McMahon to say, like, hey, man, let me be the referee in this match, the main event tonight. And Shane McMahon was like, I'll tell you what, you could be the outside referee. So what? Who gives a fuck? Oh, we'll get to that main event in just a few minutes, guys. First, I want to keep going in chronological order as best I can. I'm probably way more fucking well-formatted than WWE's programming at this point. Lars Sullivan is up next. He takes on the Lucha Summer College House Party. It's a rematch from Super Showdown. Just like Rollins and Baron Corbin that nobody needed to see at Super Showdown. Nobody needed or wanted to see Lucha House Summer College Party versus Lars Sullivan at Super Showdown. But just for good measure, just to stick it to the fans some more, we'll give it to them again on Raw. This was a Elimination Rules 3-on-1 match. Kalisto was defeated in 30 seconds. Dorado was eliminated in 30 seconds afterwards. And Metalik would have been defeated 30 seconds after that. But Lars decided to kind of fuck with all of them. He decided to toy with them a little bit. He took Kalisto at one point, hoisted him over his head, and totally just slammed him on top of the steel steps. I think it was on top of a piñata, and then the steel steps. You get the point. He took who was it? Dorado, and he literally threw him upside down into a post. So, the Lucha Summer College House Party was totally just fucking decimated. This was the best that I've seen Lars Sullivan look, at least. But it's not saying much, because we know how Vince McMahon treats his monsters. He can build them up, no problem. He knows how to make the stars, but then he does nothing with them, and then he cuts them down a size or two, then he cuts them down some more until they're absolutely in obscurity. We've seen it with Big Show. We've seen it with Kane. We've seen it with Mark Henry. We've seen it with Braun Strowman. I can go on and on, too. But all these big guys, he knows how to make them a beast, but then he doesn't know what the fuck to do with them, or doesn't want to give them the full rocket once they become a big beast. Then he kind of just knocks them down to size. Until basically, again, they're in obscurity. Or nobody gives a fuck about them. So we put them in obscurity. That's where Lars Sullivan already started. Last night was the best I've seen from him. But shit, it took a whole month of feuding with the Lucha Summer College House Party to get the result that we all knew was gonna happen. A decimation. You know what happened at Super Showdown? That made Lars look like an absolute clown. So this was WWE trying to, retract their steps and pretty much cover them. Cover it up and let's start anew. You know what I mean? Forget what happened at Super Showdown. This is what we meant to do. And for the Lucha Summer College House Party, what does that say for them, man? I mean, they are totally done at this point. 3 people couldn't beat up 1 dude. I know that's supposed to pump up Lars Sullivan, but what does that say for the 3 dudes that got beat up? You look at a guy like Rey Mysterio, same size and stature as those guys. Kalisto, everyone was thinking was going to be the next Rey Mysterio for the longest time. And you look at Kalisto and he's got 2 other guys beside him, and they can't even take on Lars. Rey Mysterio back in the day was taking on big dudes in championship main events and beating them. So that's what I mean about believability, and the reality of the situation is the Lucha Summer College House Party, from what you're telling me, is just not good. We know the gimmick is horrible, but what you're telling me in their booking is that they're horrible too. That's not really true, especially with Kalisto. But all three of them have something. You just gave them a horrible gimmick. Now, that goes to what Velveteen Dream said on the internet, on the interweb, as John Cena calls it, and through his social media. If you guys didn't hear, Velveteen Dream from NXT, he went on his social media and he garnered a lot of attention, good or bad. It was a lot of controversial attention that he garnered when he said, is it really Vince McMahon's fault for WWE's product today? Or is it the fact that the superstars are not holding their own? Are they not larger than what they should be? Are they not holding the personality, the charisma? A lot of people got pissed off at that. And Velveteen Dream was basically saying, you could have a great director, but if the actors suck, the movie is probably not going to be good. But the people that were defending their kind of visceral toward Vince McMahon, they were saying, yeah, you could have a horrible director, but actors could bring the movie to life. You know, you gotta have good material, is what they're saying. Like, yes, it would be great. The superstars have to hold their own, but they have to have good material. They have to have good scripts. They have to have a good plot. Give them something to work with. Velveteen is saying a good actor, a good pro wrestler, a good performer, a good entertainer should be able to turn shit and turn it into gold. And we've seen that before with the New Day. They were given a horrible gimmick. But the characters, the performers, the entertainers, Kofi, Xavier, and Big E, they all came together and they turned shit into gold. So in that aspect, Velveteen is correct. Zack Ryder wasn't giving shit. He took his personality and charisma, he took it to YouTube, and he was successful as fuck to the point where Vince gave him a bigger contract. He did that on his own. He took shit and turned it into gold. So Velveteen is right, but he's also wrong. The fans are right, but they're also wrong. Yes, they need good storylines, plots, and scripts, because you could take a guy like Dean Ambrose, who usually turns shit and turns it into gold, but when you give him the tragic trash that they gave him when he was a heel recently, that Dean Ambrose character was destined for failure. Nobody could turn that shit into gold. Not even Ambrose. So the fans are right. Sometimes you're going to get shit you can't turn to gold, and that could ruin not just the program and the product, but the wrestler, the performer. My point is, there is no cut and dry right or wrong here. Velveteen is right and wrong. The fans are right and wrong. Everybody's to blame here. If you're gonna place blame, it's Vince and it's the superstars. I'm not seeing anybody with charisma and personality that is busting out through and through lately. But it's also Vince McMahon who is overseeing a sinking ship through his bullshit logic and lack of common sense. That's the truth. So I hear you, Velveteen, and you guys know I'm huge on Velveteen. But there's two sides of the coin, and both sides are pretty fucking ugly right now. I wanted to get in that side rant because we're talking about where does the Lucha Summer College House Party go from here. It looks like this Lars Sullivan bullshit is finally through. Lars did what we all thought he was going to do, decimate every one of them. Now where do they go? Do they keep up this bullshit gimmick going forward that nobody cares about and is not doing anything for them? Or is these three superstars going to find a way to captivate us like the New Day did when they had nothing for them and it was a dying gimmick? Can the Lucha Summer College House Party do something within them that showcases their personality, charisma, and that they can be larger than life? Or is this just dead on arrival? Like we thought from day one when they paraded out there with the fucking piñatas. It's time to sink or swim with them. We need to know now, or are they just going to be clowns for the foreseeable future? Anyway, that's the best I've seen Lars Sullivan last night. We'll see where it goes. Backstage, truth is... Do you have anything to say about that? All right, that's no. He has nothing to say about Lars Sullivan. Backstage, Truth is being chased down. This is the 24/7 title. He gets to an elevator. He's trying to wait for it to open, but it won't open. All these guys are just on him now, about to just jump on him. They're like prey. And Truth is like, you need a ref. Like, you can jump me, but it's not going to do anything good. There's no ref. So half of them are like, oh yeah, we'll go get a ref. Half of them go get the ref. When the elevator opens, Truth jumps in, but the other half jump in with Truth so that he doesn't get out of their sight. So I like this. But there's so many, I should say, people in the elevator actually breaks. And they're like, oh, no, you got one of them, who was it? Heath Slater's like, who's in this elevator? I'll tell you guys right now, actually. You had Maverick, EC3, Heath Slater, Cedric Alexander, Carmella, and R-Truth. I believe those were the total 6 that were in the elevator. And Heath Slater, once the elevator breaks, Slater's like, I got kids. I can't be in here, man. I got kids. Drake Maverick is like, I'm getting married next week. I gotta get out of here. I got a plan. One of them saying they're claustrophobic. Who was that? Not EC3. EC3 had his beer cup. He was just fucking drinking. He's like, hey, man, I'm chilling and catering. I'm just drinking my fucking whiskey and beer, and I'm happy. Now, I'm happy I'm even fucking in an elevator talking to you guys. I don't give a shit. They got nothing for me on the show anyway. EC3 is playing this as cool, calm, I'm just drinking at the keg party character. I love it. Was it Cedric? One of them was saying they're claustrophobic, but it was hilarious, guys. This is a movie waiting to happen. Just these 6 individuals, or any 6 that you want to put together in there with Truth. But I like this combination. And that's a fucking movie. Right? There was a movie called Phone Booth that the whole movie revolved around the guy in a phone booth. You give me superstars in an elevator with Truth, that's an hour and a half of fucking pure comedy gold. So anyway, that's what they did there. The elevator's broke, and all of a sudden you got these guys that were about to jump Truth. And throughout the night, they kind of go back there a couple of times, and they're kind of forming a bond. They're talking about Drake Maverick's wedding and Heath's kids, and they kind of form a little bond until the elevator door opens, and when it opens, you have all the superstars there with now a referee. So another scramble ensues. R-Truth is able to get back in the elevator thanks to Carmella. You guys ever see the movie Jumanji? Where fucking they all have like they have 3 lifelines? Carmella literally, there's one scene where Bethany in the movie Jumanji, Bethany actually gives Alex one of her/his, the character is played by Jack Black, gives Alex one of her lifelines. And it's almost like that with Carmella and R-Truth. How many lifelines does Carmella, or can Carmella give R-Truth before Truth is gonna have to fucking cover his own ass? I say the real life Bonnie and Clyde. This Carmella is above and beyond crucial to Clyde's existence, to R-Truth's existence. I'm loving how Carmella is saving Truth's ass so many times. I can't wait for the day where Carmella does the sneak attack on Truth and takes that title, man. That's going to be fucking hilarious. As Truth calls it last night, his 48-7 European Championship. Or is it European Intercontinental 48 champion? Who the fuck knows, man? I loved it. I wish they had more, though. I was so into the elevator storyline. I wish that when it opened up, there was more. And Truth was able to get in the elevator, and the superstars were like, stairs! Let's take the stairs! And they're all waiting for him in the stairwell, and at every floor's elevator, you have superstars everywhere. And somehow Truth, arrives up on the roof. And he's like, I'm afraid of heights. I gotta get down. And Carmella's trying to calm him down. Truth is on the roof. And for $1 billion company, if they just planned things out and dedicated a lot of time to their TV show, I would have had a fucking helicopter show up. Ric Flair is in this son of a bitch. And a helicopter is going to help R-Truth out of this. Ric Flair. Woo! The fucking, the pinnacle of what success looked like back in the day, right? With the fucking Gucci or the snakeskin boots and shoes. You got the robes, the $1 million fucking robes as he called them. You had the fucking watches that were, you would have to put on 4 mortgages to try to get one fucking watch that Ric Flair would wear. That type of prestige. Landing on the roof like he's got his own helicopter and he's gonna help Truth off and they fucking ride off into the moonlight. Dude, that's TV. Now, obviously, it would take a lot of planning, and that's a lot just for the 24/7 title, but that's what I mean. That's what separates an okay show from something that's really fucking awesome. That's what separates us saying that could have been better to that was awesome last night, man. They were all looking for Truth, and he escaped again. Oh yeah? How did he escape? You know, somebody who didn't watch the show? How did he escape? Ric Flair landed on the fucking roof in a helicopter and they fucking whisked Truth away. They do stunts all the time in WWE. You couldn't tell me they couldn't have done that. We've seen fucking limousines blow up. We have seen people on the roof of Titan Tower. We have seen monster trucks. We have seen cement trucks. We've seen beer trucks coming into the fucking arena. We've seen Charlotte Flair land in a helicopter for her Mania entrance. It just takes some planning. It's a TV show. You're a billion-dollar company. Find a way to make things epic. They don't give a fuck. So they get something that's actually entertaining and they half-ass it. I could do so much creatively. It doesn't have to be a helicopter, obviously. That's just in my wild creative brain. But it can be something really fucking entertaining that when it all ends, we're saying, wow, man, how the fuck did he escape again? That was badass. You gotta wait and see what happens next. How is he gonna fucking run off next time? But all in all, beggars can't be choosers. At least they're getting semi-creative with this shit, man. They stick them in an elevator, and that's highly entertaining, man. There was times, literally, there was a movie that I saw back in the day, I haven't seen it in years, called Bruce Almighty. And it's a fucking great movie with Jim Carrey. And I was watching some of that last night during the Raw commercials. And it's such a good movie that I kind of stuck with it a little longer, even knowing that Raw was back on. The only reason I would tune back over to Raw as quickly as I did was because I didn't want to miss the 24/7 elevator segments. So anybody that says, oh, these segments shouldn't be a fucking on TV, they shouldn't be around, they shouldn't be fucking in existence within WWE, bullshit! I'm living proof. The only reason I was switching back to Raw from their commercials was because of the 24/7 title, and I could not miss a segment. Because I knew it was going to be the most entertaining segments of the show. So, I mean, that just proves those theories wrong that this 24/7 title isn't entertaining. Speak for yourself. Don't speak for the rest of us. That's highly entertaining. They got, obviously, just like everything else in their product, have to get more creative. That's their fucking problem from the get-go. Right, my man? Right. I know. Speaking of commercials, as I just did, it seems like Raw, lately especially, has just been a commercial every 3 fucking minutes. So the whole night, Daddy Anger is just yelling, did I ask for the damn commercial? I loved it, man. I'm like, I know, man, I know. So that's why I had to keep switching over to fucking Bruce Almighty. Great movie if you guys want to check it out. Moving on, Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans are up next. This is a split-screen back-and-forth promo mediated by Michael Cole. It was only a couple minutes long. This is all you need with these two. Together on the mic, going back and forth, these two are great together. You don't need anything else, especially Charlotte Flair, to try to get what you're trying to get out of Becky and Lacey. The story between the two tells itself if you just let them go back and forth. They both grinded out nitty-gritty for everything they achieved in this world. It's just that one thinks they're better than the other, that being Lacey Evans. And that really pisses off and perturbs Becky Lynch, and you see it in her face. And Lacey really gets to Becky, and in those back-and-forth promos, they're good on the mic. You don't need to see them mixing it up in the ring until they actually have to fight in the ring. On top of that, we already saw them at Money in the Bank. Lacey already dropped the match to Becky. So what the fuck more do we need to see? Just rematches. After rematch. They book a bunch of pay-per-views in a short time frame, and their answer for it is, we'll just give them the same match at every pay-per-view. Basically. If women were allowed to compete at Super Showdown, trust me, you would have seen Becky and Lacey again at Super Showdown. So it's a match we don't need to see, but since we are seeing it again, at least do it the right way. I like the back and forth promo that they did, mediated by Michael Cole. Put another 2 minutes onto that and leave them out of the ring. Instead, they gave them tag team partners last night, and they put them in a tag team match. We don't need to see that. I'll cover that match in just a few minutes. That was Becky Lynch and Bayley taking on Lacey and Alexa. Again, I'll cover that in a couple minutes. First, I want to end the first hour of Raw, and that was with Miz TV, Samoa Joe as the guest. Joe thinks Miz is getting mouthy, so Joe gets in Miz's face. Strowman then comes out for no reason, followed by Bobby Lashley, then Ricochet, followed by Cesaro. All 6 start brawling as we head into a commercial, so surely it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize what'll be happening when we come back from commercial. It's a holla holla playa 6-man tag! Woo! Freaking woo! If that doesn't excite you. Now, actually, it was a decent fucking match. You got Cesaro in there, you got Ricochet in there, so obviously you're gonna get some cool shit. A decent match, but it just didn't have any meaning to it, which is the theme of Monday Night Raw lately. Especially lately. You could really say the past several years. But especially lately, it's like they have no direction. Nothing is really getting us interested for the next week, let alone the next pay-per-view 2, 3, 4, 10 weeks in advance, whatever the case may be. Nothing. No meaning behind this 6-man tag. When it's all said and done, Joe ditches his team, so that fits his character, you know, that's all just about Joe right now. Joe ditches his team, he had enough. This leaves the numbers kind of lopsided. It's Braun, Miz, and Ricochet with their hands held up high. Whatever the fuck that does. Again, it's Cesaro who's the big story here. Cesaro kind of limped away. There was fan footage, a fan video after the match. Cesaro limping up the rampway with basically clinging on to 2 officials, 1 on each side. So that did not look good. It looked a little more than just storytelling for the crowd. Hopefully we are just being worked on it, and he's just really damn good at his job, which he is. But we hope nothing but the best for Cesaro. It did look like he was injured. Some people are saying it was on a fucking suicide dive from Ricochet. I have no fucking idea, guys. But we'll see. That's where the news will come out. I'm guessing in the next fucking 6 to 8 hours, we'll know if Cesaro is good to go or if it's something really bad. He's a strong dude. So for him to be limping at all and clinging on to 2 officials, if this is a real injury, that would mean it's kind of significant. We gotta see. Second hour, right? We are finally into the second hour. 1 full hour is gone, and I don't know if I cared about any of it. I just don't. I was entertained by the elevator segment. I don't know about anything else. If they just left Becky and Lacey with that, maybe I could get into that, but of course they had to ruin that and throw them in the ring together, and that's how we started the second hour. Bayley and Becky took on Alexa and Lacey. Cross was in Alexa's corner. You can tell that Nikki Cross is being groomed to be Alexa Bliss's next victim. I'm going to use Nikki Cross as much as I can, and then when she's no longer of value to me, I'm going to throw her to the side like yesterday's news, yesterday's garbage. So you can already tell that's happening. This was messy, obviously, but I'm just ecstatic that Lacey finally landed a badass right hook. Lacey Evans' big finisher, the big thing she's known for maneuver-wise, is a right hook. Finally, she hit a right hook that actually looked devastating. It looked like it could knock someone out. Since Lacey Evans has been on the main roster, every right hook that she throws looks like it's thrown from a fucking 4-year-old. I'm sorry, man. It's a sorry, not sorry scenario. It's one of those situations. It pains me to say that because I do want to see Lacey keep exceeding and keep, gaining momentum and keep getting better in this business. I know she has a lot of detractors and a lot of naysayers and a lot of people that just don't want to give her any credit or opportunity because they think she's already been thrown all the opportunity in the world the second she got to the main roster. And they may be right, but I actually want to see these ladies and all of these superstars, male or female, succeed. I want to see them get better. That's why I love seeing Dana Brooke get better. I love seeing Alexa Bliss get better. And I love seeing Lacey Evans get better. Even Mandy Rose. It doesn't stop at all of them. I want to see them get better. If it's in them. If they have personality that's larger than life, charisma, and they can learn to kick ass in the ring and do good. Even just good. If you're larger than life, I'll settle for good. You ain't gotta be a great fucking over-the-top wrestler. There could be 100 people better than you in that company. But if you can speak to me in larger than life terms, and you jump off that screen and I want to see you, bro, I'm good. Bring that to the table. But if you're literally not bringing a lot in any area of being a pro wrestler, then you have to go. There's so many people that can take that place. So anyway, where was I going with all this? It all stems back and goes back to the first thing that you think about with Lacey Evans, the right hook. And every time she throws it, nobody's getting knocked out from it. People are wondering what they just got hit by. What was that? Was that a punch? Was that a slap? Did she even hit me? I don't know. The fans are thinking that. The actual wrestlers are thinking that. Last night, she finally hit one on Bayley square, knocked Bayley straight the fuck. And this one, again, was to Bayley square in her mug. And it was really nice. So that was obviously a 1, 2, 3. A W over Bayley for Lacey's team. So Lacey and Alexa defeat Becky Lynch and Bayley. Again, this was all to get us hyped up for Lacey Evans, Becky Lynch at Stomping Grounds. Did that do its job? Absolutely not. A bullshit, nonsensical tag team match will never get somebody excited for a pay-per-view match between 2 of the 4 individuals. Does that make sense? It hasn't ever, and it won't in the future, ever. It's one of those things, man. I'm with you. I'm showing it right now, my man. I'm showing it. You know, it comes a time where you just gotta say, why would they keep parading nonsensical tag matches to get a point across or to try to sell 2 of those individuals? Just learn what their strengths are and play to that. If Becky and Lacey are great together face-to-face in promos, do more of that. Paul Heyman is in an in-ring promo. Next up, Heyman is saying, we're no longer telling you guys when Lesnar will cash in. You don't appreciate it. We try to help you out. This guy's over here with steel chairs and you know, if that's the way that everyone's going to play dirty or not appreciate us, then you know what? We're no longer going to tell you. Now, he could show up. My client, Brock Lesnar, could show up tonight in San Jose. He could show up at Stomping Grounds. He could show up anywhere he so pleases. Now, you're really going to have to look over your shoulder and behind you at all times, Rollins. All right. I mean, I guess that's... how many I love Paul Heyman, and the guy to this day is probably the best mic job in the company, in the business, right? And you guys are constantly hearing me say that is an issue because he's a fucking manager. You can call him an advocate all you want. He's a manager. That's what we call it back in the day. You can call it whatever you want. Protege, fucking advocate. You can call him a fucking bank accountant. Whatever the fuck you want to call him, he's a manager. And for that to be the best mouthpiece in the company, in one hand, you could say, well, that's what he's there, right? That's what managers were always about, right? The Harvey Whipplemans, the Bobby Heenans. That's what they were about, the classy Freddie Blassies. They're supposed to be the mouthpiece, and they're supposed to be the ones with the best promos and the best interview time slots and all that. But guess what, guys? When you have your superstars, as in the entire company, not one of them is able to top that one manager, that's a problem. At least back in the day, the Macho Mans, the Hogans, the Pipers, the Flairs, I can go on and on. I wanted to see their interviews. Even if you didn't understand what the fuck they were saying, you were captivated by all of them. You were hanging on every one of their words. It was captivating, man. Nowadays, Paul Heyman is carrying the entire company on his back with promos. And he's been for years, and nobody can come close to this guy. That's a little bit of an issue there, man. Truth, Mella, Maverick, EC3, Slater, Cedric was the next segment. They were all freaking out in the elevator, but I already went through I went through all the segments earlier, but that was the next segment after the Paul Heyman. So at least after a little bit of that frustration, I went back into comedy. And again, I told you guys how that ended. That was when Truth came out of the elevator and everybody tried to jump him and he escaped back into the elevator and that was it. You gotta get more creative with that shit, man. IIconics. IIconic! Peyton Royce nailed that last night, man. She stuck the landing last night on that IIconic, man. She was, even Billie Kay couldn't land. I mean, like, she was there for a good 2 seconds and then she went back into position. But Peyton Royce was just like fucking freeze frame. She could be one of those like fucking Tin Men. You ever see it go to a theme park or some shit, or here in New York City, and you got the Tin Man right in Central Park, and he just stands still for like a fucking hour, bro, until he finally like looks at his money that he made, because they're panhandlers, or he fucking like does something. I'll get a sip of water from somewhere, but they'll just stand in Central Park and for like an hour, not even blinking, dude. Peyton Royce nailed that shit last night. That was cool. The IIconics ended up taking on San Jose's greatest tag team, which was obviously a couple of nobodies, a couple of jobbers. I love this. I've said it from day one. They did this a while back, way before they had the tag straps, and this is how you book the IIconics. Exactly how you book the IIconics. They irritate, they annoy, and they degrade the crowd, and then they beat a couple of jobbers. So the crowd not only gets degraded, but then the two people that were insulting them, they end up winning their match too. And you know it's a farce. You know this is a joke. You know that they're fucking with you more by saying they got the best San Jose has and it's a couple of nobodies. Another subtle, not so subtle jab at San Jose. And you build up that heat, man. And at the same time, they win the match. And believably. Because it's a couple of jobbers. Jobber matches have so much meaning in pro wrestling, and I want to see more of it. That match was more entertaining than most of the matches we saw on Raw last night. The IIconics versus the jobbers. I love jobber matches. That's where characters really get to find themselves. Because they get to toy around with the other two. They get to play around with them. They get to try new things and new ideas. And not have to constantly be thinking about what sequence we're in. Or about always trying to think about what fucking retaliation I have to have for this move or this move. Or I'm in there with somebody that's 10 times better than me, so I have to keep pace, keep traction. No, calm it down. Bring it down a notch or two. Think about what you're doing, have fun, and get creative in there. Jobber matches are so important. So you have the IIconics trash the crowd, fuck around with the two jobbers, win the match, go about their way. What that does is it builds, even subconsciously, anticipation for when they do end up losing in the future, those tag straps. Oh, San Jose especially is gonna wait for that moment. Fuck you, right? One of those type scenarios. Not overwhelmingly, but it plants a seed in the back of your dome piece. And again, just seeing the IIconics, who are champions, winning a match, that is what is needed. Right, Ang? Yeah. Oh. He's like, whatever. But that's what I'm saying, guys. That's what you need to see more of, dude, is just jobber matches. And it takes people like the IIconics, who otherwise are in there with people that, yes, I don't mind the IIconics, but I will admit a lot of the talents would be better than them, man. And so obviously they have to lose, but when you're losing with championships, it's not a good look. Build them up. Back in the day, superstars were built up. They became superstars. They became larger than life because they were in jobber matches. And the fan, especially younger fans, they looked on their TV or up if they're in the arena, they looked in that ring and they said, wow, he's the really good guy. They suck. Who's gonna beat them, mommy and daddy? I have no fucking idea. They're winning their matches. And pretty easily, too, right? That's the good thing about jobbers. It's all about the superstars. You're seeing all of the moves by they're really looking dominant. Fuck! Give me more of that! Was that the end of that was the end of the fucking second hour. The second hour really had not a lot of fucking shit. I mean, at all, man. Third hour starts off with Shane McMahon's celebration, another Shane McMahon celebration. Shane gloats about his Super Showdown victory over Roman Reigns, then passes the mic to Drew. Drew McIntyre's out there, and he gives a great proclamation on what he's gonna do to Roman at Stomping Grounds. But there's just one major problem. We've heard it all before! Before Mania! And Drew didn't back it up. Not a single word. He lost pretty easily fashioned, by the way, to Roman. At Mania, man. 10 minutes at best. Roman beat him fairly easily in about 10 minutes at WrestleMania. All that shit that Drew talked. All the jumping him from behind, all of that shit was for nothing. Roman single-handedly, easily just beat the shit out of him 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. So now we're hearing it again. That was at the beginning of April for Mania. It's the end of June by the time they get it on at Stomping Grounds. And for what? Why in the world are we seeing this again at a pay-per-view at the end of June? And Roman just lost to Shane. Do you really expect Roman to lose again to Drew? And if so, what does that do? Just prolongs this even longer? But again, at the opposite end, if Drew does lose again, then he just lost again to Roman. And that does nothing for Drew either. No fucking idea what this shit is about with Roman Reigns, man. They stuck him in there with a McMahon, and they're hoping that it just fucking, it sinks in that Roman is the anti-authority. He's the good guy you should be able to cheer. To cheer. That's all it's telling us, man. I don't mind Shane McMahon and Roman, by the way. But it's the fact that Drew is being thrown in this to eventually, just like he was the first time, to eventually just be the weak link. He's being thrown in there to take the fall. As we call it in the business, he's the fall guy in all of this. Triple threat tag team title match. If you blinked, it was over. It was the Usos, the Revival, and the champions Hawkins and Ryder. Obviously good to see Hawkins and Ryder because they were more relevant before they won the tag titles. And that's impossible. They have titles, for crying out loud. But the second they won those titles, you never saw them again. You barely saw them before they won the titles, but again, that's what I mean. They were probably more relevant before they won the titles. Anyway, that doesn't mean anything anymore because they started Raw with the titles, and by the time that match was over, again, if you blinked, it was over, they didn't have the titles anymore. Because, again, barely 5 minutes long this match, the Revival became the new tag team title holders when Dawson pinned Ryder. Oi. A big fucking oi at that. How do you even comprehend what happened to Ryder and Hawkins? Only this company can give you championships, and it's basically a fucking stamp of obscurity when they do such. Here's the belts. Don't say we never gave you anything. Now get the catering. Go home. You're not needed tonight. Only Vince McMahon and WWE can give you a championship. That should be a promotion, and it's actually a fucking demotion. Unreal. Bray Wyatt's Firefly. So first of all, right, we just kind of brazed over that because WWE brazed over it. These are championships changing hands, and WWE stuck it in the middle of Raw like it was nothing, gave it 5 minutes like it was nothing, because the WWE, it is nothing. So I don't want to just braze over it fully. We have to remember now the tragedy in Hawkins and Ryder is one thing, but the Revival is once again tag title holders. But here's the real thing. Think about it. What is that really going to do for them and to them going forward? Honestly. Now they just have the stamp of approval. It's like, pass the flag around. Right now you have the flag. You stuff it in your pocket. Now you have the titles. Now you're in obscurity. Tag, you're it. You get to go to catering now, Revival. That's alright, we already know that place very well. Moving on, finally something that was entertaining again. Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse. Ramblin' Rabbit had enough, just like Anger always has enough. Ramblin' Rabbit had enough. He was about to expose some of the secrets of the Funhouse. And Bray shows up and said, why would you do that? All fucking creepy and eerie, and fucking Bray takes Ramblin' Rabbit by the throat, man. Bray wasn't pleased, and he again killed Ramblin' Rabbit. I legit was like, no! I was really into this, man. I was like, don't touch Ramblin' Rabbit. He wasn't really gonna say nothing. And he chucks Ramblin' Rabbit, and he takes this huge, like, fucking clown circus type mallet, whatever the fuck it was, and he just crushes Ramblin' Rabbit. Some fucking jelly type goo comes out of Ramblin' Rabbit. I don't even fucking know. I was traumatized. I could just imagine if you're a fucking kid watching that. Ramblin' Rabbit, no! Poor Ramblin' Rabbit, man. I'm done with this. I'm gonna start exposing facts of this fun house. It ain't so fun. This is what's really going on. All of a sudden, Bray's like, why would you expose those secrets? I don't know, man. I loved it, though. It was great. I was just traumatized. But it was great. But, unfortunately, we got to get back to the rest of the show. Because that 60 seconds was our entertainment peak, right? The The 24/7 title was up there. The Firefly Funhouse was even more so last night. And then we go back down to the actual wrestling show. Yes, because there's wrestling matches that are happening for no reason, and that crazy shit shenanigans are happening for no fucking reason. And of course, I'm talking about the main event. This was Rollins versus Owens. No championship on the line, I don't believe, right? This was just a fucking, hey, you're a wild card? Welcome. I'll fight you tonight in the main event that nobody needs to watch, nobody cares about, nobody wants to see, nobody needs to see. Sami Zayn is outside as a special enforcer type referee, and obviously he's up to his shenanigans throughout the match. And the outcome of this match would be no different, as Zayn disqualified Rollins for laying his hands on him. This led Rollins to do a post-match beatdown on Zayn, Brock Lesnar-esque from Super Showdown. At least it wasn't a tragic Raw, but there was no excitement behind it. That's literally how it went off the air. The post-match beatdown of Sami Zayn. So, let me put this to you. Let me break this down for you guys. How they tried to sell Rollins and Corbin, a match that nobody cares about for Stomping Grounds. They built this up the 3 hours by putting him at the top of the show with Zayn and Owens, right? A newfound group. And at the end of the show, they put Rollins in there with the newfound friend in Owens, and they had the other newfound friend as a special guest referee. And Seth Rollins dealt with them, and that's supposed to get you intrigued for Rollins Corbin at Stomping Grounds. Because they're hoping you saw Owens and Zayn as friends of Corbin get beaten up by Rollins. That doesn't do shit! What?
So that's how you want to play it, old man? No dessert? Oh, sure.
We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this! That's his fucking Braun Strowman line every fucking time. We're not talking about Strowman, we're talking about this fucking tragedy called Raw. No, fuck you. Anyway, the bottom line is, this show, even though it wasn't tragic, it did not live up to any billing of an entertaining TV show, not by a long shot. There was no excitement and nothing to gravitate or captivate us. Or gravitate to, I should say. Nothing. Everything is just thrown out there for either no reason or a meaningless scenario and situation that is not cared about. Most of these are a combination of everything. It's a meaningless situation or topic we don't care about and thrown in there in a meaningless, nonsensical match we don't want to see. Stomping Grounds could be one of the worst pay-per-views in WWE history, although it feels like we've said that a lot in the last several years, so to say that when this is all said and done, we'd have to go back and do a lot of our research, because there's been some tragic ones that we did not think the bar could be lowered any worse or lowered, but guess what? They'll find a way to do that, and it looks like Stomping Grounds might be that one. We saw what just happened this past Friday at Super Showdown. Do we really want to fucking hold our breath and give Vince McMahon and WWE the benefit of the doubt for Stomping Grounds? I know that I don't, man. That was Monday Night Raw. You can bitch and complain about a 24/7 title, but guess what? That's one of only 2 entertaining moments last night that we got. That and Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse. But it seems like the past several weeks, we've been saying that the only entertainment is the 24/7 title and the fucking Bray Wyatt segments. At what point are we gonna get more? Daddy Anger, say goodbye. Yeah, I'm the Amplified Man. We'll see you tomorrow for SmackDown's review and reaction. Till then, kick Tuesday's ass. Check you.